can't just sit down with that stupid face on. Oh, you gotta. Oh, that's stupid. That's real dumb, Dan. It's real dumb. Oh, God. Fucking shit. Hey, watch him! With Dan and Tony! Hey, watch him! With Dan and Tony! It's like watching, yeah!
Welcome to the latest episode of Hate Watching with Dan and Tony.
Woo!
This week we're doing a movie that I picked, Zardoz, which is a movie which I've seen it a couple of times. I saw it when I was young, and then I saw it maybe 10 years ago, but Tony had never heard of it or seen anything about it.
Absolutely nothing about this movie, and I refrain, as weird as it sounds, I refrained from spoilers all week until I watched it.
Yes.
Which I don't know, that might have been a mistake if I'm being 100% honest.
No, you got to go in virginal into the virginal.
I watched this entire movie with my mouth wide open. I was just shocked the whole time. I was so confused, but I have so many questions that don't get answered, and that's what you're here for today, is to help me through this.
Now, did your wife watch it with you this time?
Oh my God, she did, Dan. She's not happy with you.
I have to imagine when they said the penis is evil.
She was on board immediately. She was like, "Yes, I'm gonna love this movie," and then it was all downhill from there.
I've been thinking about this movie. I watched. I think I started on. Maybe I did it Tuesday, Wednesday. And so I've been percolating it. And, as I go to sleep in my bed, I was like, what was Zardoz really, what was really going? Oh, let's start by saying there's going to be a ton of spoilers. If you haven't seen this movie,
yes,
get out of the room.
Nothing
if you don't like
spoilers.
Adult themes, get out of the room. Because this movie's got it all.
They show softcore porn just in the movie.
Pretty much.
I was like, this is awesome.
2 or 3 rapes, which you can tell that they didn't want to go full rape. Mm-hmm. So they sort of were like, well, just imagine he's actually raping her right now, because we'd put that in there if we could, but
that's too much. Just wiggle on top of her, Sean. They'll get it.
So we're gonna go pretty deep into this movie. Was it 1973? Was that the year? Or was it 74?
It was 73. Yeah, no, that's what I was gonna say. It's one of those two.
Yes, 73 or 74. And this movie is you give us a little bit of what you took away from it, Tony.
Yeah. Okay. So I wish this is the first movie I wish I'd watched earlier than last night. Because if you've watched a show, which you probably haven't ever before, guys, I like to watch it the night before so it's fresh in my mind and I don't forget anything, which I still do. But there's so much to unpack in this movie, which is a weird thing to say because it's the craziest movie I've ever seen in my life. But there are a lot of themes that he was clearly trying to go for, and a lot of big ideas just in the most convoluted, asinine package ever delivered from Hollywood.
Yeah, the movie it's dressed like it's a movie that has a point.
Mm-hmm.
And I really don't think the movie has a point, because the more I think about it, it feels like it's actually sort of a anti-hippie, anti-feminist diatribe, right?
I can get behind that,
because in the movie the Eternals, who are like this next evolution of humankind, live in this bubble.
Do they call themselves the Eternals in the movie?
Absolutely, they call themselves the Eternals.
I missed it. Okay.
And that was the thing. Since I'd seen it before, I wanted to really sit in there and look for a bunch of the clues, because, I read a couple articles about it, and, and there's one point right at the beginning where he comes into the Arthur Frayn's apartment, which he goes through that door somehow. He knows where this magic hidden door is, which he pries open, and he goes into Arthur Frayn's hidden room. And on the wall, there's Cro-Magnon that has like
Mm-hmm.
human evolution, and then there's Homo sapiens, and then the next one is eternal. So
Okay.
so they're, so the Eternals live in this thing called,
The
what's the
vortex.
vortex. The It's essentially a bubble
Mm-hmm.
that, with invisible force field that the outside people can't get in.
Oh,
And they're the next evolution of human beings. They locked themselves in here 200 plus years
yeah.
ago when society collapsed to do all the big thinking,
Yes.
right? And then by the end of the movie, they kind of say, we did all the big thinking. We went to the moon and beyond. They went out
Mm-hmm.
into space somehow
Somehow.
in this rural farm.
Yeah.
And the conclusion we've come to is, eh.
Yes, at most. Is almost generous. It's more like an anti-life. I don't know.
Yeah, so you're kind of like, and so some of the people in here are so incredibly bored that we've set up the outside people to come in here and kill us because
Yes,
because the computer that we built won't let us die.
because it made them forget how to dismantle it. Brilliant move, by the way.
Yes, because what did they was there any explanation as to why they set it up so that they couldn't turn off their own stupid computer?
Because they knew it was a bad idea. That's what I think. I think they're like, this is a terrible idea, but we're just going to go for it because we don't care about anything.
We got this bad idea. We're just committing to it 1,000% to the point where even if we die, the machine's going to bring us back and punish us again for our stupidity of you've made the computer your master. Essentially, they've made their computer the master for no real benefit.
No, well, no, there's no benefit, as you can see with these people in the movie who are just so unhappy with eternal life. Idiots. Okay.
And I have a question for you, which maybe you got this, but I'm thinking back and I didn't get it.
All right.
Do they have sex?
No. So the Eternals do not, because I think they talk about it basically in a world where you don't need to reproduce, the sex drive has been eliminated through like some sort of evolution because they don't need it to survive. Okay. Now they don't do it for fun either, which I have a problem with that one because I don't buy that. But it's one of those. There's a lot of interesting questions that he poses, but is unable to answer any of them. And that's one of them is in a society where there's no evolutionary need to reproduce. What happens? Do you just forget about it? And 200 years, to me, not long enough to forget about the wonder that is sexual activity.
You're still eating, right?
Yep.
And you still ostensibly, like when they sit around the table, they still seem to be enjoying eating because they're like they still have enjoyment in their lives. They haven't become computer people where they're just like boop boop boop. We want to analyze the world. Some
people have those people. What are they called? The ones that just stand there. They're apathetics.
They're the yeah. There's the Eternals, which is all of them. Then there's the apathetics. And then what is the other stupid name? The people that are old and crazy.
Oh, the Cena. Oh, we got to talk about that. Another great idea. Renegades,
which makes no sense. I mean, because they aren't renegades. We find out through the movie that they're the initial scientists who created the thing, which has nothing to do with being a renegade.
Right.
And then all the other people are the young people, but we also find out that if you're bad, you get aged and you become a renegade. Correct. So really the renegades is two separate things. It's the originals and the punishment people.
Well, I think the originals were the ones that started to rebel against their own idea. I think that was the idea of it, is that they started realizing it was a bad idea. So then the younger people were like, well, you got to age up, and then kick them into their nursing home.
So they're renegades because they're against the computer and they're against what. But the other whole thing is the young people have to vote to make people old, to throw people out.
Yes.
So the young people are all about the status quo.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So most of the young people are about the status quo, and if you're not about the status quo, then you get aged, then you become a renegade. So it's about
Yes.
keeping the status quo,
Yeah.
which I, you've sort they've sort.
I mean, you're trying to unpack a Bananagrams movie. It's completely nutso. But let's hold on. We started on an interesting point, and then
Okay.
we kind of faded away, which is the sex drive, because this
Sex
bothered
drive,
me through the
sure,
whole movie. So you're
really.
absolutely right. These people do still do things for enjoyment because they eat for enjoyment. They're not the apathetics. The apathetics are the ones that no longer find enjoyment in anything. So they have no point in living. So they just stand there like creepers, which is weird. We'll get there when we get to that weird rape
End
scene.
of the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, rape scene. Yeah.
But so they still eat. They still seem to like do some sort of activities. They farm. Like they're doing things. So I have to imagine you would still have the desire to have fun sex. I just that one's hard for me to buy, especially in a society that you've created with no clothes. I mean, come on.
Well, the one woman, Consuela, at the end, she falls in love with him for
Does
kind of no
she?
reason.
Oh my gosh.
And I mean, and she wait. Oh no, the other woman has sex with him, and it's called bestiality.
Well, she
May.
starts to, yes.
Well, the
Yes.
implication was that they were
They
having
were rolling
sex.
around in the sheets.
Yeah. So they do have that.
The urge is there.
That's still functioning.
It is, especially because the apathetics wake up. I feel like we're getting. Should we go through this movie a
Okay,
little more
well,
chronologically?
we'll go back
It's
to the
hard.
beginning
There's
because
so much to unpack.
there's so much and there's many flashbacks. So we start with Arthur Frayne. Arthur Frayne is
Stupid face.
a magician and a trickster and literally the stupidest character in the whole movie.
So first of all, let's start with the opening scene of his stupid floating head.
Yes.
It's a gaudy moment where he's talking to us, right? Did I understand that right?
Yeah, he's talking to us, you and me. He's like
Tell the story that you're about to hear.
He says, "I'm Arthur Frayne. I'm Zardoz. This is a story rich in irony and most satirical. Not a lot of irony, no satire in this.
Yeah, I missed
whole
all
movie.
of that fun.
I'm a fake god and a puppet master. Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm invented too, i.e., this is a movie. You're watching a movie.
Right.
You're not watching.
Which is
You're
weird.
not watching a reality. Essentially, is God in show business too?
What? Like right off the bat, he's throwing some philosophical bombs on us, right? And I'm just like, I can't even comprehend it. I'm 30 seconds into this movie and I'm already super confused. I don't know what's happening.
So we find. Oh, I think the year is 2293, and I think it's approximate.
Sorry, yes.
Which is not that even from this movie is not that distant.
But it is distant enough that it still hasn't happened, which is something that I appreciate. Because
that's true.
Back to the Future, we've already passed that date, and everyone's like, "Where are the flying cars?" It's like, why wouldn't you put that movie farther in the future? Why is everything so close? Like we're always on the verge of apocalypse. I feel in our minds, but we're not. I mean, we are right now, but
don't get us wrong.
We're definitely there now.
We're an occupied city with military everywhere, which is like never happened in our lifetimes, but whatever. So the big Zardoz head flies down, which you have to love the giant Zardoz head.
I actually do enjoy the Zardoz head. It is hysterical. And I don't understand how it's flying. I don't understand how big it is because it feels bigger when they're inside it.
Oh, way too big. Way too big inside it.
But then when it
lands,
lands,
inside it's too gigantic. When it lands, it's sort of the size of like, a camper van or something.
Yeah, but then when they're in it, it's this giant cavern. And I was like, wait, what's happening? Oh, but the set piece itself is pretty cool. Like I do enjoy it.
And I think that's the big selling point of the movie on whole, is like you put that head on a movie poster and every kid in the world wants to say, I want to
I
see
want
that.
to see that. I want to see, which they can't. Parents, I hope parents were like, don't see this movie, kids. It's too much.
Way too much. So we meet the Brutals, which
Hmm.
are wait, are they the no, the
There,
exterminators.
yes, Sean Connery's an exterminator.
Sean Connery's exterminator, they're out there, and Zardoz says, I give you the gift of the gun. And he spits out of the mouth of the big stone head is just these guns. It's like, rain of guns.
It's not even. It's like there's just a bucket in there that someone's dumping because they just slowly fall out of the mouth. It's amazing.
It's totally great. And they, of course, they run to pick up the guns and are like, woo, woo, woo.
And
And
then
you're
they
kind of,
waste a bunch of ammo because
of
they're
course, they
just
waste a bunch of
shooting
ammo
randomly. Stupid.
because they're cool that way. And it spits guns a couple times, and it also says the penis is
Is
evil,
evil, which is true.
which, which is well, it's absolutely true. Um, and it tells the Brutals to go forth and kill. And then Sean Connery takes his gun and he points it
Oh
at
my
the
god!
audience and shoots
And
us.
shoots the gun. So I have a couple of questions on the two lines that you just said. One, the head is telling them to kill fornicators, right? That's basically their goal, is to go kill the people that are trying to reproduce.
Well, and this is like I find one of the most problematic things. And in the timeline of the movie, we find out that initially the exterminators were just out there killing the Brutals. The Brutals were you and me after the
Just people.
apocalypse. We're guys wearing our suits and living in the filth and just trying to survive. And then the exterminators just come around and shoot us. They don't really make a distinction about shoot all the children. They just sort of are killing everyone,
Yep.
which, considering the other people don't have any guns or everything, they
Pretty
probably
mean.
take care of business pretty well, and
Oh yeah, they
all the
just clean
Brutals
up.
would have been gone. And
So
then
yeah, have they been
yeah,
doing it for 200 years? Just going out and killing random people? Because at some point you run out of people. You can't
uh,
produce new
you
people fast enough.
you'd run out of people if people on horses had guns and everyone else didn't have guns.
Yeah.
And and ostensibly, what are the people in the muck eating? How are they surviving? You can't have a nice agrarian culture when there's people with guns
Yeah.
just cruising around killing everybody. And then we're sort of told that at a certain point, the exterminators are told to make the Brutals farm.
Yes. And that was a betrayal, which I don't understand, because we eat meat, not wheat, right? Isn't that what Sean Connery said at one point?
He does say that.
Which
So
I didn't understand. I was like,
there.
are you mad because he's trying to make you go vegetarian? Is that the problem?
So I guess we can probably assume, I hadn't thought about this, that the exterminators are eating the Brutals.
I
So
think
it's
I
probably
don't
full cannibal.
I don't think that that's a huge leap. I think that that's what
Yeah.
they're trying to say to us. I don't know. That's what I got.
So then they're forced to, like, make them farm and I guess let them start to breed. I don't, we're not really told all of this.
We're, we're not told a whole lot during this movie.
So the next sort of scene, we see Sean Connery has snuck inside the head and he's hidden himself in these piles of grain, which we assume is from this farming that goes on.
So then what I was getting is Zardoz is making them grow the grain, and then he brings it back to his city.
Mm-hmm. He's bringing it back to the vortex,
Okay,
and then they're making the bread. Even though
right.
at one point they say, we don't really need this stuff. We're just doing it cause.
Yeah.
And you're a little bit like, okay, because they don't want to. I got watch my makeup.
I know. Yeah, don't smear it.
They don't want to have any connection outside, but Zardoz, i.e., Arthur Frayne, is monkeying around with the ecosystem outside the vortex, which is sort of this is sort of the instigating event. What's that called in the movie?
Inciting event.
the inciting event. Essentially, he is the inciting event. Well, actually, Sean Connery is the inciting event.
Yeah, I don't know.
But before the movie started, he's inciting. He's the one that sort of set the movie on its path.
Yes.
By sort of going against what's happening back home. And so Sean Connery comes out of the grain, and talk about what happens next.
I'm not totally sure what happens next. Here's what I saw. Well, let's do that. So
Sure.
He comes out of the grain, and then he looks around with his gun, which he holds incorrectly. I just want to put that out there.
What do you mean he holds his gun incorrectly?
He always has his arm hitched, which doesn't brace against your kickback of a gun. So like you can't aim. I'm sorry, I have a problem with it. But so he's looking around this place and he sees people shrink wrapped, I believe. Mm-hmm. And then he's just scared of all of them, which is interesting. Every time he sees them, he's like, oh, oh, oh. He's a terrible. I'm sorry, Sean Connery's not good in this movie. I don't care what anyone says. He's terrible. So he sees these bodies shrink wrapped. He decides to go check them out. I felt like they were breathing. I can't be totally sure if they were wax or actual humans. I'm honestly not sure.
Actual humans. They're actual humans, absolutely.
Okay, so I was a little thrown by that. And then he kind of just is like, oh, okay, sees Arthur and then shoots Arthur.
Arthur sort of appears like near the mouth of the thing and says something. I don't know what he says. And so Sean's just like, you dead. And he blasts him, and then Arthur shoots out of falls out the mouth, and it's like floating, and he says some words, which probably should have wrote down. He's like, oh, wee.
Yeah, it's a whole speech to Sean Connery that I'm sure explains the movie or something.
Yeah, so ostensibly he's, he says, without me, you're nothing, pointless.
Right, which I guess is kind of true, because he is telling them what to do. Is the whole movie like a comment on religion?
On religion. It didn't feel like a comment on religion because it didn't deal with any of the sort of strictures of religion. It seemed to me more about feminism.
Sure.
And more about sort of hippie-ish stuff. Right? Because they've set up the commune and want to be one with this and do this and this and this, and the brutal outside world is right there, and it's just waiting to come in, and because they're weak and can easily be destroyed. That was it seemed like if this movie was made now, it would be like about the power of the incel, and coming in there and laying waste to all these women that don't deserve it. It feels very misogynistic, actually, which
it's definitely that.
Which I usually don't go there with stuff, but it just felt like, it felt like Sean Connery swinging his dick around the whole movie.
Okay, so since you brought this up, I agree 100%. The whole movie is people fawning over Sean Connery. But, men and women, it's just everyone is so enthralled with this person, which is confusing, because a community that doesn't have sex shouldn't be so attracted to him. Everyone wants to fuck this guy in this movie. Every single person. But they don't have sex. It's very confusing. Why is he the only person they want to sleep with? I don't get it.
And it's like, if they had those urges in them, we should have sort of seen that in one, because they do a trial of a person who is, I don't even remember what his offense was. Really dumb.
Of course it was.
But it didn't have none of this had anything to do with sexuality or wanting it or needing it. But you're right. Everybody's just like, ooh, let me touch him. And, they're all in love with him until the point of the movie where they're not.
Right. Exactly. Until they decide, you know what, let's turn on him.
Yeah, which doesn't make it. So he flies in the head lands, he gets out, he starts looking around. Of course, there's no one around, which of course makes very little sense, because there's always people around. So he gets into the house, and he finds Arthur Frayn's secret lair, and he picks up the magic ring, which says a bunch of magic things about inventory.
It's Siri.
It's the original Siri, but it's in a ring, and it projects on your face.
Amazing.
Why is this Zencaster going on your face? I have no idea. And they spell carrots Karratz.
Every S was a Z in that grocery list.
Oh.
And I was very confused. I don't know why.
Very Zardozian.
I mean, I guess, but
Because,
why?
Because he's Zed, right? That's
he's Zed, yeah. Which I also was confused. Why are both I don't know. Zardoz, Zed. What's happening?
So he figures this all out, and then he sees all this stuff, and there's all these sort of clues, sort of. It's kind of stupid.
It's very stupid.
And so then he takes off, and he sees like a naked lady. Does he see a naked lady?
Yeah, that's the lady on the horse.
He sees, and then she is it her? She mind zaps him.
Yes.
By the lake.
Yes.
Because they're by the lake. He's seeing like this reflection. Oh, maybe he sees one naked lady, and then he sees the other lady. Maybe it was May. And then she mind zaps him.
Yeah.
And what is all this? Yeah, so she mind zaps him, and then they go inside the tabernacle, which is the computer.
Yeah.
And then we find out about the forced farming. We find out that Arthur Frayne is dead. At least the computer thinks he's dead.
Well, because they're like telepathically interrogating him, right?
Yes.
While he's just like splayed, showing off his sweet man body for like 6 minutes. I don't understand. Why was he in that position physically when you're making the movie? Why are you like, Sean, if you could just really show off your midsection for the next 5 minutes? What? Okay, so
yeah, baby.
You like what you see? I have a real question about Sean Connery. Was he a sex symbol during the time of this movie?
I think they wanted Burt Reynolds for this movie. I know they wanted Burt Reynolds because Burt Reynolds had done Deliverance with John Boorman right before this movie.
That makes sense.
It was a huge hit. And you think about the mustache, and Burt Reynolds was in Playgirl laying out like that. So, and I think if Sean Connery wasn't, they could make that inference.
Okay. The 70s were a wild time. That's what I got out of this movie. My big thing from this movie is like, whoa, the 70s. What happened? But he's just kind of not very, in my opinion, not super attractive. He's like, he's not tight. He's not toned. He's kind of flabby. I don't know.
That was the 70s, man. There wasn't we did not have the exercises we have now. You did not end up with those perfect male specimens. He's about as good as it gets. Up the chain as you're going to get.
Okay.
Albeit very pasty and very hairy, very dark hairy. So they're studying him, and we've got May, who's kind of the chief scientist. We've got Consuela, who's the chief pain in the ass. And they're sort of conflicting. And then there's also a woman who's like the magic read your mind woman, whose name was like something Love or something. I don't know. She had a really dumb name. So they're studying him. They do his DNA. While they're doing the DNA, there's just all these like sort of microbes, which makes no sense.
Yeah,
it has nothing to do with DNA.
Yeah.
So they just had to put some science shit up there. So we find out that Arthur Frayne has been selectively breeding out there somehow. So Arthur Frayne is somehow getting Sean Connery to rape the right woman. We get to see he rapes this woman on the beach.
That's the first moment where my jaw literally dropped, because it's not even shown in like a negative light. None of the women in the room are upset by it. They're just like, what's going on here? And he's just like, he just catches her in a freaking net, like a loose dog or something, ropes her up, and then just kind of wiggles on top of her as if. So
he grinds it out.
And I'm just, first of all, Sean Connery, worst lover of all time. I'm pretty sure he's a terrible leg. But I just, I mean, and he's fully clothed, which is great. I'm so glad they didn't like make it too real. But it's just don't show it then. You can just infer what's happening. But
Sort
they
of camera off to the waves, and
right, yeah.
we see the waves lapping, and we're like, lap, lap, lap.
Leave it to the imagination at this point because it's a very off-putting thing to see in any time.
And he, of course, we didn't talk about it, but he's wearing the giant thigh-high boots. He's wearing the leather underpants, which seem to change a few times during the thing. He loses the bandolero pretty quickly on, sadly, because his bandolero's like, makes it work.
Yes. And otherwise it's just underwear.
So Arthur Frayne is dead. The computer says he's dead, which we find out's a lie. Maybe, who knows with Arthur Frayne? Arthur Frayne might just be in our imaginations being spewed out. So they bring him back as a baby. So essentially, Arthur Frayne's gonna grow back up in the computer, and he's gonna come back alive. And I assume they have his memories stored too. I mean, how could they not?
I honestly forgot that happened because he comes back at the end of the movie.
But that's not. I think the Arthur Frayne that comes back at the end of the movie, I think that's a trickster. I don't think he died.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So now are there two of them?
Sure.
I would have liked to explore that a little bit then.
There's gonna be you want. But you see, the movie takes place over 3 weeks, so we can't. Arthur
the whole
Frayne
movie is 3 weeks.
Yeah, because very early on, they say you're on a 3 week, 3 weeks, and we're going to decide about your fate. And then at a certain point, they say 1 week. We cut. She's like, okay, you got 1 week. You're on the clock. Because the way that this movie deals with time, we would have no idea, because time is just like an abstraction in this movie.
100%. I mean, time is just a construct. He was ahead of his time.
and as we know, Rich and I are. So we sort of see that Consuela's science. No. Consuela's sort of emotion. Then there's boredom, and I don't know. Skip past all that.
Wait, are you skipping past the erection scene?
What's the erection scene? Oh, well,
it's during this. So they interrogate him, and then they bring him in front of everybody to kind of show what's going on. And we get this little sex ed talk about how no one knows where erections come from or how they work. Which is so wild to me.
We've been studying shit for 200 years. Erection.
The one mystery left in the world is erections. And so then we get a little diagram of a penis getting erect. And this is the best part of the movie. And then they try to erotically stimulate Sean Connery.
And so they do it by showing him 2 videos.
2 pornographic videos.
The first video is like a woman getting felt up by somebody.
Yeah.
Great. And the second video is full on mud wrestling. Which you say to yourself, man, they were doing mud wrestling in 1974? God damn, who'd have known?
It's incredible. But of course, it doesn't work because Sean Connery is not into this stuff. And then
those things don't work. But
then just Consuela just looking at him? Is that what happened? And then suddenly he has an erection, and everyone thinks it's hilarious that he got an erection from Consuela and not the movies.
And Consuela's very conflicted because she wants him.
But also, she wants him the other way because she definitely gives a little peek down. She checks it out a little bit, and this is the moment that I was very disappointed in the film, because in a movie where there are so many breasts, so many topless women, we don't even get to see Sean Connery's clothed erection. I mean, now that's a great bit. I would have loved it.
The censors would have never allowed any of that stuff. So we see them making bread, and the bread is green, which is very interesting. And then we get to see my favorite part of the movie, the space oven that they cook the bread in, that makes this space noise. And then we have Friend. Why did I wrote backwards joke? Oh, he did his backwards talking. What the hell was that?
So it said there was a caption that came up speaking in different language is what my Hulu subtitles said.
I think it was backwards language. I
You
think
think
it
it
was
was
talking
backwards?
back. I think
Because
if
he
we
was
played them, if we recorded it and then ran it backwards, it would say what he was saying. That was my. It sounded like
okay.
that to me. So friend is ostensibly homosexual. I think is sort of the implication.
Or bi-ish. Yeah, one of the two.
So he's sort of ready to play, and so Sean Connery's under his thing, and he whips him, for a second,
Mm-hmm.
and then he basically takes him on a tour of every place and explains everything.
Yeah.
He explains the renegades who are senile. He explains the apathetics. He throws bread at the apathetics. Welcome to paradise.
Which
Violence and fear equals erection. Why did I write violence? Did they say that at one point?
Yes. So, and that they actually hit this a couple times in the movie. That's where, because Sean Connery doesn't get an erection from the sex, he gets it when Consuela's like mean to him or something.
Oh,
like that gets him aroused. And then when he's about to rape the catatonic girl, that's probably not the right way to say that. But
no, catatonic. She's catatonic.
He doesn't like that she isn't fighting back. So he literally throws her aside because it's just like a dead fish. And he's like, well, this isn't interesting to me, and tosses her into the hay bale. So there's a couple of times where they hit this sex and danger thing is like a theme throughout the movie.
But they're basically saying that sex is by nature a violent and fearful thing for essentially for the woman.
Yeah.
And that's, and it's not that that's questioned or right or wrong. It's like that's the way it is.
That's just the fact of the world.
Which I found that, as I wrote man equals rape, woman equals death.
Interesting.
This is actually where, and then we do the Consuelo, the mud wrestling, and all that.
Oh, okay.
And I also wrote sleep equals death.
Yeah, because they don't sleep anymore. They just meditate.
Oh, they don't sleep anymore. They just meditate.
Yeah, because in the movie they say something like sleep is close to death because you're not doing anything. Yeah, but then you're meditating in a state that also seems a lot like sleep. So I was a little confused on that. Like when they cover themselves with sheets and then just stand there, very confusing to me.
So we find out that he's a mutant.
Oh my God! Yes.
How did we find that out?
They explain it. Yeah,
they just sort of
DNA,
explain it.
In the DNA, I don't think it's the first DNA.
No, it's like the second DNA, I think. Yeah, I think they take him back down there. And he's standing this time. They don't put him back on the table.
None of this. We've had enough of this.
Yeah. He is the new man, but May's going to watch over him. Then we do some crap about equality. Oh, it's like when they're having dinner and Zed's like serving them the food, and it's supposed to be Friends Day to serve the food, and they're like, oh, can't we have servants? We're so tired of having to serve food, and everybody's got to spend a day in the mill, and everybody's got to be the server one day, and
which is another I know you don't like it, but it's another interesting thing that he poses and never really does anything with, is the idea of having, the hell around.
Yes, there's never any conflict to that, which is this huge, wonderful conflict point. The idea that you would have a percentage of these people that would be just sick of doing that, and so this is the scene at where Friend gets cast out, and he says, "I hate all women."
Oh my God! Does he say? I don't even remember that.
Yes, because they all stand up, and it's time to go. Ooh, and Friend's like, I'm not doing it this time. There's no rationale for him not doing it this time.
No.
But he just chooses to not do it anymore.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be one with them.
He says, I hate all women.
Okay, that's interesting.
So that's really and that's the thing is, we're trying to crack all these clues to sort of put this together into meaning something. This movie doesn't mean anything. It is just a pile of clues that really doesn't give you anything. Yeah. And we're going to break that all down at the end. And and then Sean Connery goes out to the invisible wall and he makes hand signs to his buddies. So his
Can,
buddies are all like,
can we talk really quickly about the terrible mime work of Sean Connery?
I like that part. I thought that part was kind of. I like that shot. That shot of like them up on the hill and him communicating with them. You know,
Yeah, no,
semaphore flags.
that was great. It was just when he ran into the wall. Late in the second scene, when they're like face on, they put plexiglass so he can lean up against it, which is a great
Did
move.
they really? Oh, I
I
didn't
don't know
even notice that.
if it's plexiglass or something, but enough that he
Yeah.
can squish against it, which is great. But when they come on the side view and he's supposed to be miming, like his hands go in like 4 different depths, and I was like, this is the worst wall I've ever seen in my life. But you know, I'm sure it's very hard, Sean. I'm sorry that I'm giving you a tough time about it.
So then he goes back, and that's when I think he has sex with May, right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
So then he tries to have sex with May, and let's just say person, woman. No, God, person, woman, camera, TV, man. Oh, Jesus. No.
And when if I'm remembering, the movie's so disjointed in my mind because it didn't make any sense. But I feel like him and May starting to hook up is kind of where everything starts to unravel, right?
Yeah, I think so. Well, then he goes and talks to the dude at the tabernacle.
Wait, time out. Before we jump ahead the scene, let's talk about, because now I'm just remembering, where Consuela comes in and is like, this is bestiality, this is bad. And then she starts telepathically attacking Sean Connery. But he, being, I assume, a super mutant, because I think that's what they're talking about here, he fights her. He's fighting her telepathy, and he's fighting. And then his ultimate move is just to kiss her on the mouth.
Really?
That's what he does. That's his ultimate victory, is he just grabs her by the face and just kisses her. And then she's all distraught. And I'm like, what? What kind of a fight was that? I don't even understand what the idea behind that scene was.
Well, I think, I mean, the more I sort of look at this movie, the more I think it is an anti-feminist movie, because she's like, I'm going to feminist vibe you out. And the only way to solve that is by giving her a good kissing.
Just giving her the tongue.
Giving her the tongue. So he goes and talks to the guy that made the place. And then he says, talk to May. I want the truth. And then we have the flashback. So then we have the big flashback as to how all of this is going to occur. And is this the whole big flashback now? I think it is, right? This is the Zardoz flashback. So we learn that Arthur Frayne, even though they don't tell us it's Arthur Frayne, we know it's Arthur Frayne, does magic and gets Sean Connery to learn to read, and then teaches him to read, and then he finds the Wizard of Oz book and puts his thumbs over it and realizes that this is all a Zardoz. This Zardoz is just a Wizard of Oz man behind the curtain.
So, a couple of things. The second note that I wrote in this movie was Wizard of Oz ?
So you knew it from day one.
From right off the jump. My cat's just about to walk through that screen. What an idiot. So right off the jump, I picked up on Wizard of Oz, and then I was like, okay, that's weird. And not until after I was done with the movie and did a little research, Zardoz is like not an acronym, but it's Wizard of Oz somehow. Like, I can't remember what the connection was, but the name is part of Wizard of Oz, Zardoz. And I was like, oh my God, this guy just really loved this book.
Well, when he holds up the book, Sean Connery holds his thumbs over the front and the end, and it reads Zardoz.
And that's how he figures it out.
The F is sort of down below, and yeah.
And I was like, it's so weird.
So you didn't go, oh my God, woo.
No, I was disappointed. I was like, oh, this really is a Wizard of Oz movie? This is dumb. What a terrible idea. But I was confused. So he's a super mutant. That they explain that. So is he also super smart?
Yes.
Because he just learned to read?
Yes, he learned to read. I mean, this could have been over the course of 6 months or a year.
Sure.
But yes, Arthur has bred him, or maybe all of the exterminators. We don't quite know, but certainly him. He's the next step in human evolution, essentially.
Okay.
Right? There's Eternals, and then he's, Zarternal. He's the Zarternal.
Which is interesting because he is more of a barbarian. Like, he's a smart,
but he's not.
Because of the end of the movie? Is that what you're going to tell me right now?
This whole movie, that whole aspect of it is a trick.
Okay.
They show him out there, but really, I think this is my supposition about their thinking. Of course. He's super smart and he's playing them. So he's like, when he lays back and like, I'm a barbarian, I'm going to rape you, I'm doing all this.
He's seducing them.
He's seducing them. He's playing them. And I'm not just saying this to try to, to do my whole Mac and me. I really do think that that's their pitch. Their pitch is he's super smart. And I have a reason for believing this. And that's why I want to sort of talk about. We're going to take this minute to sort of talk about this from a character point of view. He's not a character.
Oh, no, for sure.
He's nothing. He's like literally through this whole movie. Maybe there's some point at which he kind of becomes a character. He never says anything. He never has a dialogue. He never. I mean, there's a couple things at the beginning where maybe when he goes into Arthur Frayn's apartment, he maybe says something, and when the ring is zapping him, he sort of acts like he's a character and like this is a new experience. But the rest of it, he's just this blank thing.
Yeah. That
is there to cause a purpose to happen, as opposed to a character. And then I wrote down the big movies that I want to talk about are Soylent Green, Planet of the Apes, and Time Machine. Have you seen any of those? Have you seen all of those?
Not the first one. What was it?
Soylent Green?
No, never heard of it.
You've seen Planet of the Apes.
Of course.
And you've seen Time Machine.
Absolutely. I love Time Machine.
So Time Machine is about a guy from Britain who goes to the distant future and meets a society, the Eloi, which are incredibly like the Eternals.
Oh, yeah.
Dress like them, haircuts like them, act like them, are stupid like them. Very similar.
For sure.
And then the Morlocks, we don't really have a Morlocks equivalent, but, whatever. And then Planet of the Apes, but it's a British guy who goes out of his world into the other world.
Mm-hmm.
Planet of the Apes, it's a person from R that ends up on the Planet of the Apes and gets put in a cage just like Zed does, riding around on horses, throwing nets on people, just like in Planet of the Apes. Like, just there's all these things. Soylent Green is a movie about in the future we're running out of food, and so we're reprocessing the dead human beings into food that's green. Which we have the green bread.
Interesting.
But Soylent Green was from 1973, Time Machine 60, and Planet of the Apes is 1968. Okay. And so they're trading on many of these ideas. But if you look at all three of those movies, which are really good, good, and in some cases incredible movies, Planet of the Apes is an incredible movie.
Yeah.
Is you have a hero who's doing something.
Yes.
100%. In this movie, it's someone programmed to destroy a society who's just sort of going through some motions. You never are like, good God, is Sean Connery's character going to escape? Or good God, Sean Connery's character needs to bring these assholes down.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, and in some ways, when they set it up at the beginning, rich in irony, most satirical, not that it's satirical or rich in irony, but it's rich in not storytelling and not character. Here's the story where we don't give you characters and we don't give you real story. We just...
That's my cat again. He's going crazy.
We don't get anything. We it's a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
To sort of make a point that we're not even sure what the point is. In Planet of the Apes, we understand, my God, they blew it up. We know that line. We know what we did. We were stupid. Soylent Green, we're going to have to eat ourselves. Time Machine, if we're not careful, there's going to be like the one class, actually the Morlocks eat the Eloi. There's once again, very similar things, people eating people in the future. They're cautionary tales. Mm-hmm. This is not a cautionary tale.
Not even at all. I don't even really see a moral. My closest thing to a moral, I don't know if we want to cover this right now or at the end.
Sure, we can do it now.
Is that life isn't worth living unless there's an end to it. Like that seems to be the only way you can enjoy life is if it's finite.
And you see, I think if they started this movie and they wrote down that log line
Mm-hmm.
in the future,
different movie.
Well, that's a good movie.
Yeah.
That's a movie I would be interested in understanding and exploring. It's like, we call this hate watching, and it's the deep analyzation of movies, hopefully from a somewhat comedic point of view. Somewhat.
Somewhat. Stupid face.
Arthur Frayne. Wanted to do the hat too.
Oh God, that would have been amazing.
But you look at a movie like this, and it's a giant wasted opportunity because the Time Machine, which is a George Powell, just fun science fiction movie, also has that resonant thing beneath it. And I think you need to have a structure that's a real movie structure, typically, unless you're an incredible filmmaker.
Sure.
It's got to be a detective story or an adventure story or whatever the story is. That's why Star Wars works, is that first movie is an adventure story.
Yeah.
It's a rescue and then take care of a problem. This one is, what's the problem?
I don't know.
We don't know. Does this vortex need to be destroyed? Not really. I mean, if it continued on doing its thing, the whole world's a mess. Is it causing things to be worse? Not necessarily.
Definitely, yeah, not worse.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, is the exterminators are out there killing everybody, and you're like, there's not one person sitting at the middle. It's not the computer. It's like in Logan's Run. There's also the computer.
Mm-hmm.
That the computer is continuing this whole process of killing all the young people. And it's like the computer's not even the bad guy.
No, not that. There's not really a bad guy, right?
There's
what I can tell,
not even close.
Yeah.
Okay, what was your log line again? What was it? Life's not worth living
unless it's finite, or something like that.
Unless it's finite. Yeah.
There's probably a more eloquent way to put that.
So this is the point at which they turn on him.
Yeah.
And everyone wants to kill him now because May tried to have sex with him. So they blind him.
I don't even know how that happened. I was confused. But luckily they tell me he's blind. There's literally a woman that goes, he's blinded now. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Now I understand what's happening in this scene.
And we get this great scene where he punches through the invincible plastic, which is just like plastic.
It's again, their exposition is just random characters saying lines that you're supposed to then be like, oh, okay. They're like, it's not possible to get through the bubble, and then immediately after he punches through the bubble, and everyone's shocked. And I was like, that just was regular plastic. It's not even thick plastic. It's
like
just
some 3 mil plastic that anyone could punch through, and it's 3 mil plastic. And we look at it, and then he finds Avlo, who I think is naked, and she gives him the magic leaf.
Which, do we know what that did? Because I remember him eating it, but I don't remember there ever being an effect.
At some point, I think so then he has the magic leaf, and then he punches through the plastic, gets the magic leaf, they burn down the village, and then he gets in with the apathetics, and then they lick his sweat, and then the apathetics stop being apathetic.
Yeah, okay. What? This in a movie where nothing made sense to me and everything was shocking because it was so batshit crazy. This scene threw me. She takes a bead of sweat, licks it, and then is awake? What is
that? And then everyone else starts licking on her or something, and they all wake
start
up.
Kissing, and then it's just like,
did they start kissing?
Yes? You didn't remember that part? Yeah, so she licks, and then she's like, oh my God, this is amazing. Maybe it's the electrolytes in his sweat, some salt, some ions charging her up. And then like she kisses a woman kisses a woman kisses a man kisses a man, and then they're all kissing, and then he just leaves. He takes, I don't even, there's a sexual awakening that happens, and I feel like I missed the important part of it.
Oh, he eats the magic leaf while they're coming back to life.
Yes.
Um, we have to talk for a second about Dracula.
Yes. That's my favorite part. Just a guy dressed as Dracula running through the town.
At some point, all the renegades are running wild. One of them is dressed as Dracula. They put Sean Connery in a wedding dress so they can sneak him around. And then I think somebody kisses the bride. Is it friend with his half melted face kisses the bride?
Friend, did he kiss him or did he just say he was going to kiss him? I remember him saying the line, "I'll kiss the bride,"
And they
then
pull
lift
the
the veil. Yeah,
I don't think he kissed. He must not kiss him.
I hope he did. The one thing that I read, not the one thing, one of the things that I read afterwards is that it was hard to convince Sean Connery to do that scene because he did not want to get dressed in the wedding dress because his masculinity is too important to him.
So I've written 2 lines down. I don't know who says them.
Ugh.
It's too late, and wasn't eternity enough?
Oh yeah.
So
that's a good line.
So then they do the touch teaching scene where they touch Sean Connery and give him all of their knowledge, and in return for that, he has to give somebody his seed.
I thought it was everyone. I thought that everyone that he was supposed to inseminate all of them. I'm almost sure that that's what they said. And I was like, whoa. He better be a super mutant. Who cares why? Talk about the how, Dan. The how.
How's he going to do it? Probably all at once. He's probably just going to leave it everywhere and everyone's just going to dab it off his face and God only knows what.
The super mutant part of him better go into overdrive for that scene. But anyhow, I don't understand what the point of that was. Why do they suddenly want to reproduce?
I don't know.
Okay, cool. As long as we both don't know.
So then he's like playing with these crystals, and Arthur Frayne shows up and gives him a crystal or something and disappears again.
And he's like, if you can't look into the diamond and know the answer, you're not ready or something.
Yeah, and then Consuela shows up and she's like gonna kill him, and then she can't kill him because she's in love with him.
You're not gonna do it.
And then she says, "I have become you," and I've written down Nietzsche. Did they do a Nietzsche? Did somebody talk about Nietzsche at some point?
Sean Connery's character quotes a passage. And it's like, what? This guy hasn't spoken a fluent word the whole movie. Is it the touch teaching that taught him? I don't know.
So then he has his big battle with the tabernacle. He goes inside the crystal because the crystal can refract infinitely, and that's the tabernacle. He goes inside there and he punches the crystal and walks around, and then he defeats him. And the tabernacle says, "Would you kill God?" To which, of course, Sean Connery doesn't actually answer, I don't think.
No, but he would.
And he would.
So I know this is a weird movie, but I don't understand the crystal. Even in the movie itself, I didn't I couldn't follow the science behind that.
Oh,
well, can you teach it to me?
I'm actually going to say the science isn't the most terrible thing in the world.
Okay.
What they're doing now is I don't know they make these. I don't know if they've done this yet, but they're working on it, where they have a block of something, maybe like a crystal or something. And then what you have is 2 lasers, right?
Okay.
That shoot into this block, right? Yeah. And so what it is, so essentially this block is not an infinite amount of atoms, but a hell of a lot of atoms. And so the lasers sort of shoot in there, and then they change each little tiny section of this matrix into a yes or a no, right? Which is the basis of all computers, right?
Sure. Yeah.
On, off, 1, 0, yes, no. And so in this matrix of whatever, the laser at a very quick rate goes and fills this all up with all this information, and then the lasers can go back in there and retrieve it. So they change what's going on, and then they can look at it. So basically, a very small thing then becomes like this
Very
nearly
big thing.
infinite storage space. And
Interesting.
so the crystal thing is kind of,
Okay.
I mean, they say it's a refraction thing, which, that doesn't work. But
Well, it's the 70s.
it is sort of pointing at a thing that sort of they're working on and probably will get right at some point.
Okay, there you
So
go.
so he kills the computer just
Which
because the
is
computer.
himself?
No, the computer isn't that crystal. Essentially, it's the computer
Well,
that
but he shoots himself inside the crystal, right?
whatever.
Don't just wave me off. It happened in the movie.
Doesn't matter. He defeats it because he's the Uberman. But you see, he's Nietzsche. He's the Uberman, and
Oh yeah,
that's the whole thing. It's this. I bet you. If you read some anti-feminist Nietzsche stuff, they have a whole thing where the penis and all this needs to defeat feminism because they can't
sure.
be equal to us because we're we shoot seed and all they do is catch like what a bunch of shit. So then he comes back out of the crystal and he says one of the other greatest lines, "Stay close to me inside my aura."
Or
And then he starts shooting out his wind powers. Because somewhere along the line he's gotten wind powers.
He got magical powers, and he also reversed time. That's how they escaped after Consuela after they are in love all of a sudden, and all the villagers are coming. Like he reversed time, and then they walked out, and then all the villagers.
I called that wind powers.
Oh, that's the wind power. Okay,
it looked like wind, but then it was a reverse time thing.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
So everybody's outside, everybody's freaking out, and then all Zed's dudes come down and shoot everybody to death.
Yes. Yeah, which is a weird. So so now everyone wants to die, right? So they're all like,
Sure.
kill me, please kill me. And then Sean Connery can't do it. Like the horse lady with her boobies out, right, is in the middle of the lake, and she's like, kill me like you promised you would. And so he pulls the gun, and then he can't do it. And he's like, what I was is not what I am. Right? And or something like that.
Is that what he says?
And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. So now he is no longer a murderer, which is unfortunate for these people because they all want to die. But then luckily, all of the other guys, all of Sean Connery's friends come, and then they kill everyone. But Sean Connery and Consuela run away because they don't want to die. So like the message for me just gets a little muddled at the end.
This is the point at which it gets muddled.
Just now. Everything else crystal clear, like the diamond. I got it all. But I was confused on everyone's motivation in this final massacre. I don't know.
Well, I think what that tells us, let's try to think about it. Okay. Like let's try to do some rational thinking.
Yes.
Okay, so this tells us that Sean Connery's the only mutant.
Yep. Oh, sure.
Because they're not all super in on the plan.
Yep.
Right?
They're
true. Just like, we're here to kill. We does the killing. These are the people that made us farmers. We're going to kill them.
Let's do it. Yeah.
So they just kill them. Sean Connery, I guess, has changed. So although he was a mutant, and although he wanted revenge, because he did want revenge when he found out the Wizard of Oz. That's the whole thing. It was a revenge mission.
Sort of.
And then once he has once he gets what was it called? The touch teach. Once he's touch teached, he now cares about something.
Apparently, yes.
So May and some of the other ones head off on horses before the people ride in there. So they go off and escape.
So they survive
for a reason, and all the other vortexes are fine because he hasn't blown up their computers.
Yeah, there are a bunch of them, right? There's hints throughout the movie that there's multiple.
Yes, there's because vortices. Yes,
thank you.
Because there's only one Zardoz and only one stone head. So the stone head goes around and they sort of said that. Them. Yeah, Arthur Frayne also is sort of, if you need leather goods, I'll bring you leather goods, and if you have excess this, so he's sort of, he sort of takes care of all that. So then Consuela and Zed go into the stone head, and we get the sort of end of the movie,
which is hilarious. The end is very funny. Like, I laughed for minutes.
You laughed for a minute?
I did, because
Tell us what happens at the end, Tony.
okay, so they hold hands and sit on a rock, and then supposedly she gives birth, right?
They show her giving birth.
They show her giving birth, that's right, and then they sit on the rock.
Then they sit on the rocks,
and apparently never move again. So she breastfeeds, right?
or maybe they just do that every year or two. They take that photo. It's like that. It's like Sears. That's like Sears, man. It's like they gotta do the photo.
So they're on this rock, and then it's their kid growing up, and then he obviously goes to college because eventually he leaves. And
does he just leave?
Doesn't he?
What happened was I ordered this on Amazon and I watched it, and then I was going to go back and watch some of the other salient points today, but it's gone. It won't let me watch it now.
Oh,
stupid Amazon!
Stupid Amazon!
I think he like leaves in a huff.
Oh, he's like upset.
I think he goes, huh, and walks off. It's not like he's just like, bye, Mom and Dad, I love you. It's more like,
I can't do this anymore. So obviously they are just sitting on the rock for eternity. So then that he leaves, I don't know why. And then they get old. And this age makeup is the most absurd thing I've ever seen in my life. So they're like old, older, pretty old. And then they jump ahead again, and they have the craziest old, like, hairs down to here, all white. He's got a huge beard, and it's just insane. And then skeletons. And the skeletons are still sitting up. They're still
all attached. No animals come in there and munch on the skeletons. All the ligaments hold them in perfect skeletal place.
It doesn't make any sense. It's the most bonkers ending, and then it just ends. And I was like, what in the world just happened?
Wait, I have written down here, it was all a joke. Somebody must have said that. Joke? No, somebody said that.
Did they?
Like maybe Arthur Frayne says it. It was all a joke.
That sounds like something.
I think he says that. I think he says, because that came after May got away, so it was after they're all getting killed. So okay. I think he said, okay, so whatever. Arthur Frayne, God bless him.
Disagree.
The other really interesting thing is behind them, while they're turning into skeletons, are like these handprints, where it's like two hands.
That's what we zoom into, right?
What the hell was that?
So I may be completely off base, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna leap. I'm gonna go for it, Dan.
Go for it.
I believe that handprints in stone are the first known remnants of human beings. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like,
what you're saying is
archaeologically.
What you're saying is this is the art of the new human race. Yes. Because it's not handprints, it's drawings. They're essentially drawings. So they're hands, right. But so you blow paint and you leave your handprint. So then what this is all about is this is the next step in human evolution. Right. And they begin in this stone head, and this is post eternal, and this is the Z-ternal human race that's going to
I like that name.
I do too.
The Z-ternals. I believe I read that there is. Were there plans? I don't remember. I thought maybe I read that they were thinking about doing a sequel, but I could be completely wrong.
Well, I went and ordered the book.
Okay, that's what it was. Yes. No, you're right. There's a book. Someone wrote a book that's the sequel, right?
No.
Oh,
they wrote the book that is the Zardoz Book, and it's written by John Borman.
There's a novelization.
There's a novelization. I ordered it.
Oh my God.
Right on last Saturday, and I was like, I'm going to get this book and I'm going to read it really quick, so I'll be ready with all this excess information that was in the novel.
Yeah.
Well, my mistake was I bought it from someone with 1 feedback on eBay. And I paid instantly on my phone, and I go to pay. The woman messaged me. She's like, I didn't get your money. I'm like, it's it says in the PayPal, it says unclaimed. I'm like, you got to go to PayPal in some way and claim it. And she
Mhm.
couldn't figure it out. And so I knew I wasn't going to get my book in time. And so I canceled the order.
Oh no.
So we are never going to know until we do the 20th anniversary show where we revisit Zardoz. And I've gotten the book and I've read the book. And Dracula.
I can't believe this. Fucking Dracula, man. That was my favorite part. He just comes walking. I was like, where? Why? Why? What is going on? So much weird stuff in this movie.
So, a couple more points to sort of point out. In the time machine, he kills a Morlock. Now, have you seen the original 1960 time machine? Not the terrible one with
Wait,
what's
are you
his
saying
name?
Paul Walker's terrible? Or wait.
That's
Is
the
Paul
one
Walker Time Machine or is the
It's not
Jesus?
Paul Walker.
It's Jesus, the guy who played Caviezel.
It's not Caviezel. It's what's his name? The guy that was in
Lockout.
L.A. Confidential.
Yeah, you're right. Lockout.
What's that guy's name? I don't know what that guy's name is.
Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce.
Sorry, I'm back. Yep, Guy Pearce.
Well, you haven't seen the real Time Machine, the 1960 one.
Correct. I've only seen the Guy Pearce.
You've seen the terrible Guy Pearce one.
You're wrong, Dan.
Total garbage. In the original 1960, he kills one of the Morlocks and it falls dead next to him. And then he goes forward in time and you see it age and turn into a skeleton.
Love it. Love it. Just
so
like
he ripped
movie.
off that too.
Yeah, it's everything in this movie's ripped up. So what's interesting is that my one positive thought about this movie was that it had some nice sci-fi tropes that it just didn't deliver on, and I was like, maybe this was a pioneer. So because it has, a lot of like apocalyptic sci-fi, right? They have the class system, which he has in there. The Eternals are in their bubble, living lives separate from the Brutals, right? That's kind of a trope that gets used over and over. And I was like, well, maybe he was the first. Obviously, he's not.
Not even close.
But there's just a lot of interesting ideas. But now you pointed out all of them have been used in movies within a few years of this movie. And I was like, oh, never mind. This was a guy that didn't know what he was doing and just kind of took things from other places and tried to throw them together in confetti.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it a Frankenstein movie because it's not a Frankenstein movie. It just seems like, it's just a mashing together a bunch of ideas without an actual through line of where you're going. You got to start with, life's not worth living if it goes on forever. Give me something, and like I said, it felt like this sort of feminist critique. It felt like, a bunch of guys, or a guy or a couple of guys were intimidated by what was going on with feminism and wanted to,
shut it down,
penis. You're like, oh God, really? It's just stupid. And it isn't wrapped in like, it's not a revenge story.
No, even though they do say it several times, what are you doing here? And they like force it out of him. He's like, yes, revenge. No, because you're not really doing anything to get your revenge.
And, unless you have a character that sort of, and that's the thing is everybody just throws information onto the ground in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when Friend goes through and explains their entire society to him, Friend was part of the plot. So I guess to plot to destroy the thing. Yeah. So it's not surprising that Friend would give him all this information, but you're like, it's like the least organic way to give us a bunch of information.
And that's throughout the whole movie. It's not even, it's so off-putting the way that they describe what's even happening in the scene as it's happening. Like the scene where they're like, oh, he's blind now. I shouldn't have to have someone tell me that. Show that to me in a convincing manner that I understand what's happening without you having to literally tell me in almost a voiceover describing it's almost like a radio play that just has moving pictures for no reason.
Well, or at least have him say it.
Yeah, like, oh, I can't see. Okay, great.
Witchery! What hast thou done with my eyes?
Burn her. Dan, this movie, what a piece of work.
Yeah, I wrote a lot of pages on this movie, and all I have to go back to is Space Oven.
So, okay, here are the things that bother me. There's a lot of questions that don't have answers. Why is his looking at you? Why is his facial hair painted on?
Oh, because he's a magician.
That doesn't explain anything to me. Do magicians paint their facial hair on?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Who does?
Magicians.
Don't just say magician.
Magicians.
Is the wizard? I don't remember the movie. Is the Wizard of Oz's facial hair painted on? See, I don't know.
No, he's not. But he is like he is a carnival sideshow kind of magician-y type. So yeah.
I mean, I guess it's so frustrating.
Arthur Frayne was literally the stupidest thing about this whole movie. The whole beginning monologue that he gives is just, is God in show business too?
You can't pose a question like that and then not deliver anything that it like resembles that question at all. Like that has no theme throughout the movie as far as I can tell. Why is that at the beginning of your movie? I don't understand. I mean, I don't understand any of it.
Because it's bullshit. Yes, my other favorite part was like how the Brutals were all like wearing like torn up suit jackets.
Yeah, where if it's been 200 years, why are they still wearing suits?
Well, because that's the only clothes they have, so they've been wearing that suit jacket for 100 years.
So that just gets passed down from father to son, and then mother to daughter, and it's the same. That's disgusting.
And you have to make they set them up to make leather goods, but they only make sexy leather goods for the exterminators, and they have to use old clothes.
No, it just doesn't make any sense.
The movie doesn't make any sense.
The whole world doesn't make any sense.
The whole world doesn't make any sense. And it's kind of like how the world is, man. The world doesn't make any sense.
So was Burt Reynolds, and going back to something you brought up earlier, was he ever attached to the movie, or did they just want him to be in the movie?
I think they just wanted him. And I don't think he wanted.
I imagine he read the script and then just burned it and was like, "Don't ever talk to me again. We made one good movie, never again, sir."
Do you have anything else to say about this?
I feel like I've said my piece on this masterpiece. I guess as a final thought, I would say I do kind of wish I would have done a little research before going into it, only because I was completely blindsided. It was a freight train that just ran me over, which is fun. It was super fun. But there was the first like 30 minutes, my wheels were just spinning the whole time, and I was having a hard time just focusing on what was happening in front of me because I was like trying to understand anything that was happening.
And that's why I sprung this one on you, Tony.
I don't know. It was a good movie.
I wanted you to go right into the vortex of Zardoz and have like no escape. Where you're just like,
you did it.
What is happening? Who are these characters? Why are they doing this to me? Why is he wearing that? Why are they all naked? Why so many rapes? Why?
Why indeed? And those thoughts plagued me until deep into the night, Dan. I couldn't sleep last night. I was
really?
Racked. This affected me on a deep level. I was just lost. Just completely lost. Oh, it was a beautiful thing. I really enjoyed my time.
So, now we're going to talk about something in the last week or two that we liked. Anything you got?
Yes. Yeah. it's not a new thing, which is I've been sticking with new things for most of it. But today we kind of fell in love with this Netflix show just by accident called Ultimate Beastmaster, which is kind of like American Gladiators. You know, it's like a big obstacle course. Don't watch season one. It's awful. The camera work is terrible. It's all shaky. You can't see anything. Starting with season two, it gets pretty good. Season three, which came out in 2018, is a masterpiece. It's beautiful. There's drama. There's excitement. It's awesome. It was super fun. So if you want mindless entertainment, Ultimate Beastmaster season three, it's a good 12 episodes. It's solid. It's
I'm gonna pick this movie called, I think it's called The Night Clerk. I watched it a couple of 3 weeks ago. And it's about a guy who works at like I think it's called The Night Clerk. He works at a motel or a hotel.
okay.
You know, kind of like a Red Lion Inn, you know, like a medium scale, you know, not a grimy place, you know, kind of. And he's like sort of the overnight guy, but he has like Asperger's.
Okay.
And it's played really subtly. The guy that wrote the movie wrote some other really good stuff, which I can't think of what it was. I should have done better research. I forgot that I was having to do this. And his mom's played by Helen Hunt.
Oh,
and John Leguizamo's in there as a detective. And so a sort of crime occurs. And it's I thought it was a really interesting sort of approach to Asperger's. And Anna de Armas is in there. Is that her name? She was the one in the Daniel Craig mystery Knives Out.
Oh, great movie.
You like that movie?
You didn't? Oh no, Dan, that's a discussion for another day. Maybe
I was going to pick that movie for this.
You should. I'll defend it.
Oh,
we can argue over it.
It's terrible. But what's her name? What's her name?
I don't know.
Oh well,
I'm like sorry.
So she's in it, and so it's this nice little independent movie that a lot of people really didn't like, and I really liked. It really worked for me. So whatever. Okay. You like Knives Out, really?
Hey, you liked The Night Clerk, you animal.
Knives Out. Why would you like that movie?
I mean, I saw it in the theaters and we had a good time. That's all I remember. I remember it's kind of like it was like an action Clue with Captain America. That's what I remember from it. I don't know.
Maybe we'll have to do that. We're going to do that one at some point. Not soon, but we're okay. I would be interested to see someone, because I have a lot of very serious. I'd like to watch it again and get the feeling for it, and have you watch it again with a very critical eye. I should.
It's one of the movies I saw midnight opening night, because that was like a thing for us. So I memories a tricky thing.
Okay, Tony, it's time for you to pick our next movie. This is each of us waits 2 weeks for this, essentially.
I know.
And it's the longest wait of your life. And when you go back to reset, now I get to just sit in my spider web trying to decide the one after this. But Tony gets to release the spiders onto me, which will now then feast upon me. The horror of.
Listen, I think I'm picking a good movie. I think
this is a movie you like.
I have never seen it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's summer right now in life, not the movie. Sorry.
It is summer in life. Yes.
The one thing that I've really, and this is going to sound bad, but I've missed a lot because of this pandemic, is summer blockbusters. That was my thing, Dan. I love May is my birthday. Every year since high school for my birthday, we've gone to the cinema and we've seen a blockbuster for the summer. Good or bad, I have a great time, right? So I'm feeling a little sad that I've been missing that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do one of the most the biggest box office flops from a summer release, specifically summer.
Oh,
now to set the scene a little bit, Jamie Foxx had just done Ray. Right? Is that the name of it? Where he won an Oscar?
Yeah.
So this is the movie that he did next. They filmed it before Ray came out.
Oh,
and then released it after Ray.
This movie might not be that terrible. I might actually like this movie.
I don't think you will. So the movie, Jessica Biel, Jamie Foxx, some other white guy who I can't remember his name. Josh Lucas, I want to say. The movie is 2005's Stealth, about crack top Navy air pilots fighting an AI plane. Come on! Summer 2005! I'm so excited.
I have not seen this movie.
Of course you have. Nobody saw this movie. It was, I think it lost like almost $100 million in the box office. It's good. I'm ready.
The movie I was thinking about was the President one. There's like a Jamie Foxx in the White House.
Dan, it's the greatest movie of all time. It's called White House Down, and it is the spiritual successor to Die Hard, and I adore it.
I remember watching it, and I was like, I did not have a lot of high hopes. I remember watching it, and I was like, this is pretty enjoyable.
It's one of the worst things that's happened in my entire life. That's hyperbole. It came out right around the time as that stupid Gerard Butler movie, White House Down, or not White House Down.
Yes, well, there's the two
Olympus
same
Has
movies.
Fallen.
Yeah,
something like that. And everybody liked the Gerard Butler movie, and nobody went and saw White House Down with Channing Tatum and Jamie Foxx. And
really?
So there was a planned sequel that got canned because the box office was terrible. And then 3 movies got made in this stupid Gerard Butler series, and it's terrible. It's so bad. It takes itself seriously and thinks it's like a great action film. And White House Down was this cheeky fun, like we're having a good time blowing shit up. It's tough times for Tony.
There's a whole limousine on the White House lawn.
So
some
good.
Sort
He's
of
like
crazy
got a rocket
scene.
launcher up top. Oh my God, it's so good.
But we're not doing that movie.
No, we're not doing that movie.
We're
That's
doing
too good.
Stealth. With Jessica Biel. Does the airplane talk?
I want to say yes. I watched the trailer. There's no talking in the trailer, but I'm pretty sure it does.
Oh God, I hope that airplane talks. Oh,
because I think it's like their new team member, and then it turns on them or something. I don't know. It looks terrible. I'm very excited.
So that's what we got coming up next, which is a far cry from the Dirty 70s Zardoz that we suffered through.
Yeah, I wanted something a little more modern, a little less risque.
Yes, there's probably a lot. The plane probably rapes no one in this movie.
Well, let's not be sure, but
if the plane does rape anyone, we're gonna let you know before we get into this. I guess it's time to call this one. Thanks everybody. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up, maybe a comment. We're gonna keep doing this because we have nothing better to do with our lives.
So true.
I'm Dan, and
I'm Tony,
and this is Hate Watching.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Your stupid face makeup.
Hate watching.